Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you today with my Sunday's Art of Truth for January the 22nd, I believe, or 23rd, excuse me, hopefully. So I am creating this piece, and it is entitled For Such a Time as This. So there is some things going on in my life where this is really speaking to me, this concept of for such a time as this. And so the Sunday's Art of Truth will be all around that concept, and I'll be talking about, writing more about that in the blog. So that's going to be our little sentiment on here. I need to fix the camera because that was a struggle to hold that up. So yeah, that's better. So let me set that up on the top because I don't want that to get all yucky. And I just feel like this is too close though. And my struggle is as I mentioned before, my camera setup is closer to my table than it has been in the past. So let's see, that should be okay. So I've got my supplies out. I've got my super heavy gesso, which I believe I'm going to do some stenciling with. I've got my crackle paint, may or may not use that. That's from Deco Art. And again, I may or may not use it, I'm not sure. I've got my golden glazing medium to do a glaze if I need to. I know I will be for sure doing a glaze on this to kind of make this grungier. So I have an inkjet printer, so I did zap this with my heat tool just to make sure it's dry, because otherwise that ink will run. So, but I used raw umber and this glazing medium to create a glaze to cover that and make it more grungy. So that is that. I do need to reach behind me and get my raw umber though. Forgot about that. There we go. And this is my favorite raw umber fluid acrylic. So we're going to set that out of the way. Got some brushes, palette knife, my Liquitex fluid matte medium to adhere my papers. I've also got my Fabri-Tac out because I'm finding that that works really well as well. So the two primary colors I'm going to be using are the quinacridone Nicolazo Gold from Golden Fluid Acrylic, and hopefully this manganese blue hue. It's really, really gorgeous, but we'll see. I'm going to kind of intuitively move through this, so I may have long periods of time where I'm not talking, and I'll either add some text or I'll do a voiceover. We'll see how it goes. We'll be using this Jean Petit stencil called Moroccan Tiles 2. It just creates a beautiful design. I'm going to set that over there. And so this is kind of my idea here, is I'm going to create this kind of a cluster here, or a focal point, using this butterfly that is on some rice paper. And I bought it. It was rice paper that I purchased with the print already on it. And I'll try to remember to link that in the supply list. And I've got a bunch of other stuff under here that I'm going to be creating a focal point on this piece. And then I'll be putting my sentiment on this cardboard. I will be needing to gesso the cardboard and things like that, but I'll speed through the actual process of it and then cut out the drying and all of that. Again, as I mentioned before, I can't pause on my camera. I actually have to just let it run or risk turning it off and then remembering to turn it back on, which is always a challenge for me. So right now I'm going to go ahead and do all of my inking, and then I'll come back with you and we'll put the gesso on our cardboard, and then we'll go from there. So hope that helps. Okay, so those items are inked. So now we need to go ahead and gesso some stuff. So I'm going to set these aside. Let me talk about them really quick. For a moment. So I picked some music page. This is just a vintage one from my stash, and the title of the song is Only to See Her Face Again. And so again, you guys will be reading about that in the blog. This is really significant event in my life and situation, so I hope that you'll hop over and read the blog. This is the She paper that I've talked about before. If you haven't watched a video before where I've talked about that, this is actually a free a free printable from SeanPetite.com. If you subscribe to her subscriber library, she gives away a lot of prints like this. And it basically is this paper that talks about how she decided to do what makes her happy. She will be kind to herself, take care, and make sure to be careful who she lets in and all of those things. So just full of truths. It's one of my favorite papers to use. So I'm going to be using that. And so let's set those up there on my shelf so they don't get affected. And I usually will put a paper down here on my surface to and then do some collaging and put some paper as background, but I'm not doing that today. So I'm going to go ahead and put gesso on this, which I forgot to grab. So give me just a second. And again, still not feeling good, still stuck at home, but I'm not going to miss another Sunday's Art of Truth. So we're going to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and gesso both of the pieces of cardboard and the panel here, the face of it. I'm not going to really worry about this. The sides, I can just paint those, so not concerned about that. So I'm going to set those aside too so they don't get yucky. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a coat of gesso, and I will just speed through that process. And in case you don't know why I would be applying gesso to this cardboard and to the panel, is because gesso acts as a barrier. One, it acts as a barrier between a material and a material that you're going to put on top, or a fluid or a medium or something. So in the case of the cardboard, I am covering the cardboard because I don't want any paint or liquid that I put on it to just kind of soak into the cardboard. So it creates a barrier. And on the surface of the board, this is a gallery depth canvas. I believe it's a 2-inch canvas depth. And you can see here I've left some texture. So that's one of the functions of it, is you can use it to create some texture. But it also creates, again, a surface that has some tooth to it so that mediums can stick to it and not just kind of peel off and things like that. I've had that happen when I've actually tried to just go directly on that panel with paint. It doesn't work for me, so that's why I'm gessoing that. So I'm going to go ahead and let these dry, and I'll be back with you shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and I'll be back with you when it is ready. Okay, I think these are mostly dry. I'm just going to hold this up so you can see a close-up. This texture and cracking is bigger than normal because I use big swaths of the crackle paint, so that looks a little bit different than we're used to seeing. I'm not seeing a lot of really fine cracks. It's white. It doesn't like to focus on the white, so I apologize, guys, for the focus. And then this is the cracking that's happening on this piece of cardboard. If you can see that, yeah, it's showing up really good there. So, and then this one, I don't have a lot of crackle on this one for some reason. I'm not sure. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with this, and we're going to do a raw umber glaze on these two pieces just to give them their first layer of interest here. So I'm going to get my glazing medium and my raw umber fluid acrylic. And I do 1 part paint to 2 parts of glazing medium. I'm going to put out littler amount. I always put out way too much. So I'm practicing. so you can see that in the deeper valleys of this cardboard, it's going to stay, which is what makes it so beautiful. So I'm super happy with both of those. I'm not going to do anything more with that. I'm going to try to leave that paint there because I'm going to need it again. I should have put it farther over. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it up because I need that space. So the next bit I'll put a little bit further over so that I can leave it out. So on this, what we're going to first do while those cardboard pieces are drying is we're going to go ahead and give this a really thin wash of that quinacridone nickel gold that I've talked about often. I love it. It's one of my favorite colors. I'm going to go ahead and get that out on my mat here as well, and I'm going to water it down. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a close-up of the quinacridone nickel gold into all that texture. I did have some of that, the crackle paint kind of pull up. It was a little bit wet there and here also, but this is going to be covered over. So now what we're going to do is do another raw umber glaze with my golden fluid acrylic in raw umber again. We're going to go ahead and just go with this. I'm going to be able to bring in that gold again and the blue here in a little bit, as you're going to be able to see. So I've got my baby wipe and I'm just going to kind of gently pat. Oh, I love that. Look at that. Woo! It's rich. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I'll show you a close-up here too in a second. This is exactly what I was looking for with this piece. So, wow, look at that. Yikes, that is just so beautiful. Wow. So we're going to go ahead and dry this, and I'll be right back, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, this is mostly dry. So here is the texture. Look at this yumminess. It looks like rocks to me. We do have some white showing here. Let me just get a little bit more up in there. I don't really want any white showing necessarily. So let's see if we can yeah, that's better. So yeah, look at the yumminess. And again, I'll be writing about this and how it speaks to me. Just the papers that I'm using, the torn paper, the cracks, all of that, you know. And if you've watched my channel, you already know kind of where my mind goes with these kinds of things. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe up all of this paint because I don't want to put my arm in it. And then we're going to move on to the next thing. It's at least the really wet stuff. There we go. Okay, so so the next thing we have going on here, I did bring this stencil out. I am not going to use it. I don't need it. So let's see what we've got going on here. So this is going to go up here, and don't worry, it looks kind of blah compared to the background right now, but it won't in a minute. So I'm going to just show you kind of what I'm thinking here. Okay, so I am back. I just kind of laid out kind of where my papers are going to go kind of roughly. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and I'm going to try to turn them over so that I remember the order. So I just kind of turn them over on my surface and I don't have to think about that too much. So what we're going to do here, well, actually, let me backtrack. So, because I still need to do put some paint on these pieces of cardboard. Whoops. Where'd my butterfly go? Oh my gosh. I lost my butterfly. There it is. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to go ahead and, as you can see with these images, we've got this beautiful blue, and I want to bring that out in the design. So we're going to go ahead and do that with this manganese blue hue. So I'm just going to put a little bit out on my mat here. And I'm also going to put out some of that quinacridone nickel azo gold. That's not watered down, and we're going to just kind of use this on the edges here just to kind of accent this cardboard with those colors. So there we go. Not too much, just a hint here and there. I just don't want it to be all, I don't like this kind of really yucky color, so I'm just going to use my finger and kind of skip over that just to kind of take away from that color. So there we go. Perfect. Love that. We're going to do the same with the piece for the sentiment. These are my favorite colors. Love them. Actually, cobalt turquoise is my favorite, but I think one of my bottles fell behind the desk because I had a full bottle of the fluid acrylic in that color, and I can't find it. So I'm not sure what happened. And I'm not concerned about this being dry because if I mix the blue and the nickel azo gold, I'm going to get a green. So I'm going to go in with the blue, and again, just here and there. And we're going to get a hint of some green here, I think, which is perfect. Sorry if I'm off camera. There we go. It's pretty vibrant blue. It's okay. So we are getting some green here where they're mixing, which is kind of lovely. Kind of unexpected in a way. Again, just intuitively doing what speaks to me. So I think that's good. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same with this. This is, for some reason, maybe my finger's green from the paint already mixing. That's probably the case. So sorry if I'm off camera, guys. I'm having to lean forward quite a bit here. And I'm, again, not at my best, so... There we go. So that's beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and dry those really quick, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for a moment. We're going to bring this piece in, and our butterfly is going to get adhered to this. So it's going to go right on there. I'm wondering if I should put a little bit of music page behind that, or the sheet paper. Let's see what it looks like on a little bit of sheet paper. I don't want to overdo it. I don't think the sheet paper is going to work. Let me see about another piece of music page. I just feel like it's looking kind of funny to go on there like that. You know what? I think I am going to go with a little bit of music paper here. If I don't use it for this, I will definitely use it for something else. So not a loss there. So that's a little bit too big. That's too big. You know what? I think I want some music page under it. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this really quick, just so I have that same kind of dark frame around it. So I can't ink around the rice paper, so it's gonna just be what it is. we go. Let's take another peek and make sure we like that. I feel like it's too long here. Let me just trim that off there. A little bit odd. Like so. What do you think? Let's go ahead and bring the panel over again. Yeah, I like that. Let's just do that. I'm actually going to ink it up a little bit more. Just kind of, maybe. Oh goodness, the best laid plans. Just, I don't want it to be quite so creamy colored. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and glue this on. And I'm gonna get my Liquitex Fluid Matte Medium to put this on my board here. I probably should get some heavy gel. Well, this is probably gonna, it's thin paper, so it's probably gonna be okay with just the Fluid Matte Medium. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put that directly on here. You do want to make sure that as you do these layers that everything is dry, is sufficiently dried. Like so. So I'm going to go ahead and put a coat on top as well. Yeah, I like that. I love using corrugated cardboard. It's one of my favorite things to add to mixed media, as you probably noticed. And then we're going to put our butterfly on top of that. I'm going to use quite a bit of matte medium here, Fluid Matte Medium, because that's going to help that rice paper to really kind of become one with the surface here. So I'm just going to try to make sure it's kind of even. I'm going to pick it up and make sure it's straight. Looks pretty good. Famous last words. And I'm just going to go ahead and put matte medium on the top as well. Like so. Okay, so just going to make sure that I want to make sure I don't have a lot of lines of brush lines here going on the butterfly. So we're going to set that aside and let it dry, but that's a close-up. Any of white you see now is going to dry clear because it's matte medium, so no worries there. So let's go ahead and bring our canvas back over, our panel, and we're going to go ahead and put our word on here. I already did apply some of that raw umber glaze onto that, but we need to kind of accentuate this as well. I forgot. Let's get a little bit of this blue. Just a little bit here and there. Like so. And I'm thinking I want just a little bit of that Nickel Azo Gold. Like so. That should be good. Okay, so now I need to wait for that to dry before I can glue that on, so apologize for that. Now that I've added a little bit of paint, I'm going to wipe this table up. It's a mess. Okay, so let's go ahead and adhere our papers now. So I think I'm going to be okay to use the Fluid Matte Medium because this surface isn't too bumpy, so we should be okay to do that. So I'm going to put the book page down first, and again, I picked it because of the title, Only to See Her Face Again. And if you want to check out what that's about, you can head over to the blog if you'd like and read the story. Read the Sunday's Art of Truth. I try to create one every week. When my computer went down, I missed some time. I'm still not feeling well, but I'm like, I'm not missing another one. So I was determined to get this done today. So there we go. So let's go ahead and just put a coat on top as well. You would want to use a heavy gel if you're doing this and you've got a more textured surface underneath, or your paper is more, I don't know, I don't know what the word is, but it's more, 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 it's heavier, you would want to definitely use something heavier. So like when we put this on the board, it's going to be done with the Fabri-Tac probably, or some heavy gel. So there's that layer. And then we had some of this. This is that 3M masking paper, and I don't think I need so much because it's actually going to be covered up. So I'm just putting a little bit of it right here, just to kind of give a little bit of interest in this corner here. Not really showing, is it? Interesting. Maybe it needs to go on top of the sheet paper. Let's think about that again. That's not really working. Sheet paper is going to go here. Let's go ahead and put that down and see what happens. Again, sometimes you don't know until you just do it, and then it, you know, then you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. That's what I wanted all along. Just making sure my words are straight and that they're somewhat evenly distributed on each side of the canvas, I mean in terms of distance from edges. Okay, so there's that. So the other thing we have, let me just think about this so that I have time to move this stuff if I need to. I'm feeling like this. I'm going to try to move this. It's risky, but I am going to try, and I'm going to move it in a little bit. Like so. I felt like it was too much out to that side. Okay. And then this is going to go here. Yep, just like that, because I wanted the words to the sheet paper, at least some of them, to show. So the other thing I wanted to do is put a little piece of lace potentially underneath here. I'm not exactly sure if I like that. Let me just put this in place and see what I think. Yeah, I think I do want it. But the tricky part is I'm going to need to put it on this, because I'm not going to be able to trim it off. So let me see if I can measure this out. I'm going to move this so you guys can see what I'm doing. Silly me. Oh goodness, I've got some of that sheet paper peeling up. There we go. I'm all over the place today, guys. I apologize. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this down, hopefully the right point, like so. And then I'm going to take a moment and dry all this so that we can move along without any more interruptions. So, okay, so I do want to do one more thing, which is pretty typical for me in a mixed media piece, is I want to come in and do a little bit of stamping on top of this texture with my, this is my Paris stamp. I'm just going to grab my black archival ink here and do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to try to be really measured with this and not go overboard, which again for me is famous last words. So I'm just going to put a little bit of text here and there because I love what it looks like on the surface of mixed media, because words are story, right? Words are parts of people, you know, and they're very important. I love that. See if any of that's going to show. I'm not sure. Not really sticking there, is it? A little bit more there. I'm going to get a little bit in this area that doesn't really have much going on here. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay, that's enough, Renee. Put my cap on here. All right, the sun is shining through the window right now, so I apologize for the little bit of glare there. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this, and I'm going to kind of just gently, I'm going to gently kind of bend it, because all that moisture kind of makes that cardboard bend and stuff. We don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in place, and then I'm going to quickly get my lace in place as well. So I am going to use my Fabri-Tac, as I mentioned. Already got it prepared here in my bottle. And then I'll try to slip that lace underneath the edge when I get this on there. Hopefully. Fabri-Tac is pretty good for this kind of thing. Again, normally I would use a heavy gel, but since I've been doing the paper crafting, I'm learning that some of these supplies can be used across those different kinds of crafting worlds. So we're going to go ahead and put this up here. I do want that only to sear again, right? I want that to show, and then I want that to be moderately even from side to side again. So I'm just going to go ahead and hopefully press this really quick. I don't want to spend too much time pushing on that and affect it in a negative way. So that looks good. We're going to go ahead and try to slip our lace in there, if I can find where it went. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of Fabri-Tac underneath that edge. And then we're going to slide our lace in there. We do have some wiggle room here, so I'm going to try to get that in place, and then, yep, like that. Make sure everything is straight. Looks to be. I'm going to go ahead and press again, just to make sure everything is sticking nice. I don't want to touch it with my fingers because I could pull something up. Like that. Okay, so our last thing, and then we'll be done, is we're going to come in with a little bit of that blue here and there on this main surface, and then we're going to also put our sentiment down. So same process. I'm going to kind of bend this cardboard, because where it's thinner, it's kind of bending up, and I want it to be flat. So, and again, this grunginess, these layers all speak to the story of this piece. So I hope that you'll go over and read it over on the blog. So I'm just going to center that below, and I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac again. Just like so. And oops, we got something there. Not liking that. May have to put a little bit of paint there. So we're just going to go right there. I'm going to use my paper towel again, push that down, and I don't know what that is. It's bothering me though. Can I get it up, you think? I don't know what it is. That's stuck there. Uh-oh. It's the paint coming up, so that's a bummer. We're going to have to fix that. So we'll deal with that in a second. This is feeling really dark. Really dark. Well, it is what it is, so we're going to go with it. It's okay. This was my heart. It's my creation, so I'm not going to worry about it. This is always how it goes for me, though. So I think I'm going to try to bring in a little bit of this Nickel Azo Gold and see if I can touch up that spot there. Yeah, just like that. That's perfect. I wonder if we should. Okay, so now we're going to come in with a little bit of the blue, because I want that to be part of just a little bit, and I'm really only going to go a little bit around the edges, the perimeter of this panel with the blue. So I'm going to hold it up. Just like that. So guys, we are done. That is our piece, and I hope you'll check out the photos at the end and over on the blog to get a better idea what this looks like kind of close up and in person. So, but again, here's the beautiful texture. And this blue rice paper muted out a lot more than I thought it would. I guess because it is semi-transparent, it's kind of dulled out because of the dark background that it is glued to, but not to detour me. So that is that. So I hope that you'll hop on over to the blog and check out the story, the inspiration behind this piece, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.